a podcast to honor the gods.
This better come with a sacrifice.
Dave X Media.
I felt my strength fading, my shield flickering. Leroy's fangs were an inch from my face, and Horace was offering no words of encouragement. Then I thought about my invisible locker in the Duat. I wondered if other things could be put in there too. Large, evil things. I closed my hands around Leroy's throat and wedged my knee against his rib cage. Then I imagined an opening in the Duat, in the air right above me. 13, 32, 33. I imagined my locker opening as wide as it could go. With my last bit of strength, I pushed Leroy straight up. He flew toward the ceiling, his eyes widening with surprise as he passed through an unseen rift and disappeared.
Welcome to Of the Eldest Gods, where we discuss Rick Riordan's role as a godly parent.
I'm Ray, following the path of Gab.
And I'm Charlie, following the path of Bast.
And I'm Sam, and I'm following the path of Thoth.
Hi,
which
Sam.
is the easiest god to pronounce the name of.
I'm so glad. I was never more anxious in my life. As someone who pronounces words for a living, that is terrifying.
Yeah. No, we had to be like, okay, this is how we're gonna pronounce it based on the Greek letters that are given to us.
Yeah.
Because it's like a theta, where like it's gotta be a TH sound.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's gotta be Thoth, which is wonderful. Anyway, you're a nerd like so many of our other guests. Welcome to the pod. Once again,
I'd like to say, when you were running through the options, I was like, and I had read, for those who weren't on before we clicked record, I may have sped read this, the book right up until this chapter. So I was like, oh, God of Writing, that would make sense. You're like, where's the God of Journalism? I'm like, God of Writing, that's close enough. Let's just get that one.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta love the God of Writing. Could happen that we meet him soon, perhaps.
Yeah.
God of ethics and honesty in journalism.
Of course. Because there's so much honesty that goes on in these chapters.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
People are totally not hiding secrets and everything.
No one is gaslighting anyone.
No.
Ever.
That would never happen.
So,
in my
Sam,
Rick Riordan book.
as it's been a while since you've been on the pod, I'd love it if you could reintroduce yourself for the listeners, tell them about your podcast, your pronouns, stuff you do on the internet, and tell us how you're enjoying this book so far.
Yeah, so I'm Sam. I am the host of Content and Capable on the Deus Ex Media Network. I'm also the resident Australian. And now somehow live in the worst time zone imaginable. That makes it almost impossible to record anything. So you probably haven't heard my voice too regularly on DXM podcasts this year. I moved and it's taken almost like a year to get used to this time zone, let's be honest. Outside of Deus Ex Media, I also I am a journalist. I work putting together a breakfast radio show in regional Australia, and kind of just run the chaos on the other side of the world that everyone else kind of does over there. So it's a lot of fun. I do a lot of adventuring around. It's currently going to be one of the hottest days of the year today, so I'm sitting in my nice and cool, well-insulated house, letting the sun stream in and get everything really lovely.
I love that for you. Us here in the US be shoveling snow. Hottest day of the year over there in Australia. Yeah. I always forget how drastic the difference is.
Sam, do you see the blanket
great.
I'm wearing? Do you
I know,
see the blanket?
I thought about it for a hot second. I was like, oh, wait, it's going to be so cold over there. It's funny because we will have total fire bans tomorrow, which is always hilarious because it's the one day that my job actually means something and I've got to really, really work hard. And so it's just like a lot of running around and going, okay, so what do I need to remember for tomorrow when this happens? Meanwhile, you guys are like, oh, it's snowing. It's nice and cold. Although I will be overseas. I will be in the States in January, which is going to be very exciting. So I'm doing a bit of a family trip with my family. So
Fun stuff.
Always.
So Sam, your speed read. How are you liking this series? How are you liking this book?
So it's really interesting. I did the dumbest thing this week. I was feeling like I was missing out on Rick Riordan, and I knew that this episode recording was coming up. And I was like, you know what I haven't read in a long time, and I kind of remember enjoying? Magnus Chase. You know, a book like so far in the future of recording of OTEG that I was like, you know what? Let me just read it. And
just hop in there.
So it was available on Libby, and I just started reading it. And then, like halfway through the first chapter, I was like, "This really is not the book I should be reading right now because I have a podcast recording." So, the problem is that I refuse to let myself borrow the audiobook because I have a physical copy of the Red Pyramid that I bought years ago. So, I'm reading it for the first time. I'm actually really enjoying it. This starts out a lot more fun than Magnus Chase does. Like Magnus Chase, I think a lot happens in those first few chapters for those who have read it. And it reminds me way more of like a book 3 of the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series where there's stuff going on, but there's still like a chance to like kind of explain things and a bit of character building. It seems to happen within the action a bit more in this book than in the Percy Jackson books where it was a lot of monologuing, which I found more interesting. It has meant that my brain reading a book and sometimes eyes glazing over words, I've had to like reread like a paragraph or two and go, oh, okay, so that's what they mean, or that's what happened. But I don't know, it's been a great fun read. It's read relatively fast, but it is the first physical book I've read in a long time, so I've realized that my reading speed is a lot slower than it used to be. So I sped read this morning a couple hours beforehand, and I just barely made it to the chapter that we're reading today.
Good shit. And then do we need to ask Sam the question?
Of course. Sam, are you a Carter head or a Sadie girly? Who's your favorite?
Ooh.
Yeah.
This is a hard one.
Right?
They're both such great characters. I think I do like Carter. Like, he is just the dorky older brother. Also, like, I think he's my spirit animal. Like, he gets to travel all the time, and like he's on flights. We'll talk about airports during this chapter as well. But like, you know, gets to travel all the time, gets to do all sorts of things. Doesn't quite know what's going on at all times, despite, you know, Sadie standing there literally knowing what's going on. So, you know, I don't know. I was a bit worried the first couple of, like, the first, you know, 10 or so chapters. I'm like, oh, he's a bit two-dimensional as a character. But these last few chapters, he kind of fleshes out a little bit more, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah. He's going through an arc, you might say.
Yeah, one might say.
Perhaps.
Character growth. We love it. We love to see it.
All right. Well, fellas.
What did we read today?
Leroy meets the Locker of Doom. No notes. That works. That's good. It's good.
These chapter names are great.
Amazing. I brought Sam on for this one because I was like, damn, I just love Leroy as a concept.
Leroy. Yeah. It's silly ass, but like in that classic Rick Riordan way where you're like, oh Rick. Of course his name's Leroy now. Yeah, it's the kids love this shit. I loved this shit.
Yeah.
It's great.
I do love it because it really just exemplifies. I was about to say the chapter title really does exemplify like the way kids think. Like if you're going to give it a name or a description, that's the name and description you're running with from here on in.
Yeah. All right. The set animal catches up to our crew in the airport. The set animal will now be referred to as a moose named Leroy. Don't worry about it. Carter decides that he would like to protect innocence, like some kind of idiot, and he stays behind to, like, fight this, like, terrifying creature. Leroy chomps on Carter's arm, but he escapes by turning into a big bird avatar, you know, like he can do. Carter decides that he would like to stop dealing with this now, and he shoves Leroy into his hammer space locker. Carter makes it onto the plane and takes a nice little prophetic nap. Set and company are in the middle of building the titular Red Pyramid, which is apparently supposed to be the final tomb of Osiris. Also, he's working on a plan to steal power from the rest of the gods. Dun dun dun. It's pretty bad news. And then he notices Carter, and Carter is just sort of sitting there, and Set is gonna get him. The end. That's the chapter. like one of the most direct cliffhangers we ever. You know, Rick gets a reputation for cliffhangers because he does like to put them at the end of books and stuff, but most of the time the chapters end with like somebody going to sleep or something. This is a very direct cliffhanger.
Yeah, I'm glad to see that he goes to sleep midway through the chapter. I was for sure expecting the chapter to end at that point. I was like, oh yeah, kind of falls asleep. This is it.
No, we
Rick
got
will
drama.
Keep getting better at cliffhangers. Don't worry about it. It's good times. It's good times. Hey, guess what we didn't talk about last chapter that I saved for this chapter?
The creature.
A certain mythology thing. The creature. Leroy, you might say. The moose.
The name Leroy is a little ruined because my brain is like, Leroy Jenkins! Like, I can't not do that in my brain.
Oh, my brain says Leroy and Stitch.
Oh,
You ever seen the Stitch sequels or the Stitch TV show? Like that's the experiment that's like made to be the evil version of Stitch, like the absolute actual evil version.
I think I did watch the Leroy one once as a small being. I feel like I remember the advertisements better than actually watching it, so I don't know if I did, but
yeah, that's what my brain thinks of. All right, well, in case you missed it, we're gonna talk about the set animal. Shh, don't say its name. Don't say its name. You can say Leroy. But also, I guess there are a few different names for it. One of which is the Shah. It says citation needed, but I've seen that in other places too. So I don't think there's like what that name means or anything on here, but that's another possible one. It's probably based on like the hieroglyphics or whatever. And then it's also commonly called the Typhonian animal or the Typhonic beast because Set is associated with Typhon of Greek mythology. That's his Greek equivalent. So, and as we've already mentioned, this is a animal that we could not be identified, still has not been identified as what type of animal it could possibly be, because it's not quite the same as the other ones. It just looks a little bit wrong. It's a little bit different. So it's unclear. We got our bunny ears. We got our like long anteater face. We got, I don't know, whatever the fuck's happening with that tail.
Yeah.
It's a weird one. It's a weird little guy. I do think it looks kind of like a greyhound, though.
Yeah, it does remind me a lot of a greyhound. I don't understand where the moose thing came from. Like, unless those antlers were bigger.
Ears. Yeah, I feel like they're just really big or something.
I was imagining it was just like the size. Like that was the only realistic creature of that size that it could have been. Moose are fucking huge, so...
Yeah, it was like a moose running through an airport feels... I don't even feel like it would get through the security scanners.
Unclear.
So it says here that Egyptologists say that it was probably not a real creature. It's just like a religious symbol. So then that is like a distinct thing. But it also says that zoologists are always trying to figure out what the said animal is. So like... Guys, what are we doing?
It's one of those things that everybody's trying to figure out, but it's also like, maybe this is something we don't need to figure out.
I think they just made up a guy.
Yeah.
I think it's the said animal.
He's just a guy.
Yeah. I think
it's the makeup about guy. You guys remember when Twitter was good and there was the makeup a guy Twitter?
Yeah. You
remember those? I loved it because I thought Sam's icon on Twitter looked the same as that guy's icon too.
Of course.
And I was like, Sam is the makeup a guy Twitter.
Yeah.
Sam is the guy. Sam's a guy that got made up.
Twitter, and I can just be a guy. Yeah.
This is true. All right. Then there's the physical characteristics. Yeah, we got greyhound, we got fennec fox. The fact that everyone's like, is it a jackal? But like, it also looks way different than the jackal-headed gods. So it's like, it can't really be a jackal.
It definitely does look canine to me, but like, you know, it's a creature.
Yeah. So this is the typical representation for Set is that he has this animal on his head, with like the long nose and the big squared off ears. And then apparently sometimes there were also other animals. Other animals at least sacred to him. I don't know if there were other heads he took, but there was the antelope, the hippopotamus. I love that. I love hippos.
Love hippos. They're so scary, but I love them.
I love that they're scary. That's listen, they want you to get the fuck out of the water. It's their water. The wild boar, crocodiles, and scorpions. All the fucking scorpions. I hate them. And they represent strength, power, protection, or wilderness. What does this mean? Okay. Since the Shah was used as a determinative in the names, what's the determinative mean? My brain is like not working right now. What does that mean? Is it just it's the symbol. Okay. That's what it is. So when you're spelling out Set as a name in hieroglyphs, you use the symbol of the animal. I got it.
I see.
But it's also apparently used in the name of the goddess Nut, our girl, who may be identified with Nephthys. I mean, that's her mom. So yeah.
Lineage. Love to see it.
I don't know.
Every woman is the same to these people.
Listen, like half the goddesses are like, oh yeah, that's also Isis. Very annoying. Okay, so this is saying the Waz scepters, which is like the scepter that most of the gods you like carry, and like it represents a symbol of power, basically. That it also represents the Set animal, or possibly the god Khnum. He's the ram god. But like if you look at the scepter, it does kind of have like the face or like the head shape of the Set animal a little bit. It's very long on top. So that's a symbol of power. Disappearance of the Shah. What does that mean?
It looks like they're talking about like it just went out of favor. Like they started using it less.
Yeah, like the third intermediate period they're talking about, which is, like 1,000 years ago.
Also,
like, no way.
Yeah, so the Shah gets used less in stuff because everyone's like, Set sucks and we hate him now. I don't want to worship the chaos guy who sucks. What if we stop doing that?
Yeah, because, like, he used to be cool, but then there's the rise of the cult of Osiris, so they're like, okay, no more Set. He killed our favorite guy, our best guy, so fuck him. No more.
So it's saying here at the bottom of that section that Set was so unpopular that they destroyed and defaced his shit, and that stuff with the Set animal probably had the same thing happen to it, and we just straight up don't know because like a lot of the history is gone because they probably destroyed it. Wild.
Yeah. Yikes.
It'd be like that.
Okay, but Set was in fact revered during the New Kingdom, I guess, because he's like still a seated deity. And the 19th and 20th dynasties apparently still devoted themselves to Set and such. Okay. So other proposed animals for the Set animal. So it could be the Saluki, which is a cute little pupper. Look at him.
He's very
pretty cute.
I love this dog. He's got very long legs.
Yeah. The problem is he's also depicted in hieroglyphs with no connection to Set. So the Egyptian people knew this dog and thought of it separately.
So sadly, it cannot be him. Rude. And then we've got a long list of other things. The fact that like the Sighthound, the Saluki, gets like a whole thing, and then there's just a bunch of other things. It could also be something that was rare and is extinct.
It could be.
It could just be an extinct creature that we don't know about.
It also says on the bottom
I love
that
such a long list of animals.
It's a little silly, honestly. But also Set was depicted as a donkey or like with a donkey head in the late period. So maybe the donkey was one of the inspirations for the Set animal, which I can sort of see.
I feel like They started to go with the donkey because, it's an ass. And so is Set.
Yeah. Actually, to be honest, mood.
He's a bit of an ass. Okay, one of these animals that's listed on this list is a fucking fish. It does not have the big bunny ears.
Or legs. It's a fish.
So it couldn't possibly be this one.
Wild.
No. Why would you suggest it's a fish?
Guys, I think it's probably a religious symbol, that it is not a real creature. I do think that it takes inspiration from a lot of these creatures, and I think that that's cool. I think it's a very cool fantasy creature. It's just like a silly dog.
Yeah, it is a very silly dog. I don't agree with most of these creatures. Like, that one is walking on 2 legs. It's not a fucking camel. It could be an okapi. It's not a shrew.
No, because we can't tame it.
A giraffe's neck is too long, and it does not have big ears. It's not a pig, and it's not a fucking fish. This is my TED Talk. It's not a fish.
I feel like giraffes have big enough ears that maybe, but like...
I mean, does it,
I like
it does have those other
aardvark.
things,
The snout feels, like something.
Yeah, like I like the aardvark.
I like okapi.
I like the donkey. I like the okapi, yeah. Even the fennec fox is okay.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, he's a donkey. He's an ass. So,
Yeah.
I think that's absolutely perfect
Hee-haw,
to
hee-haw.
represent that. Let's talk about the chapter.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's talk about this Locker of Doom. We already talked about Hammerspace last chapter a lot, so...
What I love is that this starts in airport security. Everyone's favorite place to be when you're in a rush.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Airport security in America.
Of course.
Which is
We're
the
on
best.
Oh,
right? The
gosh.
worst.
Like, I've only ever had relatively good experiences. My worst one was like, I was in Dallas and I had to recheck my bags. And because my flight was 3 hours late, I almost missed my connecting flight and had to recheck it and everything. Anyway, I was lining up for security and someone ran through the entrance, ran up to like the check-in counters and like started screaming because he'd missed his flight.
Oh, God.
And I was like, this is so incredibly normal for like 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah,
Anyway, and I was like, okay, now time to take off everything. Shoes, jackets, everything. Go through security one more time.
It's great. It's great. They have a very smooth airport security experience in our chapter, though, even though they have a live bird of prey with them. Totally fine and normal.
Yeah, like, what the hell?
Yeah. Yeah. Sam, you did read the last chapter, right?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Okay. Just double checking to make sure you know what happened to Sadie, and that's Sadie.
Poor Sadie. But like, no, like, you can have a live bird, but like, don't go through normal security. Have I always think it's always a bit of an upgrade when they go, oh, we need to check you individually, because they just do like the pat down and they're like scared of like, they do the pat down really quickly, maybe do a bomb check, and then like, it's done, and it's done so much faster, and you get to do it separately. If there was a live bird going through security, for sure they'd do that, at least in my experience. I'm like, oh, you have to go through normal security like a pleb? Come on.
You gotta pat down the bird, guys.
Yeah,
you gotta make sure it doesn't have any contraband in it.
They didn't even make her go through the x-ray.
Also, they booked first-class tickets. Surely there's, like, first-class security. Yeah.
It takes too long to go through security, though,
good.
Because here comes Leroy. Leroy Jenkins.
I blame
Every
taking
time.
off shoes.
I mean, they did get into a special line, I guess. Yeah. Listen, I love the moose part. Tell me it's not amazing that people are just like, moose, rabid moose, loose the airport.
There might be meese.
So no one cast a specific spell this time. We've been talking about this, about how much mist influence there is in Egyptian stuff. Is that, like, because this just sounds like straight up mist at this point. But I don't know, still. I don't know if it counts. Bast just says, no telling what mortals will perceive.
I feel like there's already so much magic around the set animal that it is going to be obscured from mortal view.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that is normally what it is.
I feel like we did have some of this stuff explained to us earlier, but I don't remember it.
Sam, I think that makes the most sense. Like, that the set animal produces some kind of glamour on its own, and that, obscures it.
Perhaps it does.
If we're not gonna say that
I don't think no one's-
mist exists.
Yeah. I don't think anyone's looking super closely either. Someone has yelled rabid moose and everyone has started running. Like, I wouldn't be paying too much attention to whatever would be theoretically be chasing me.
I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. While reading this part of the chapter, my brain did come up with an interesting, I guess, fanfic idea of just like, you know, like the people who can just like have the clear-sightedness and see through the mist. What if there's just like a network of those people just working to spread the power of suggestion so that the people who cannot see through the mist just are like, oh yeah, no, you've made it make sense to my brain. Thank you. You've hidden the magic stuff.
Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, no, that's a moose. What are you talking about? And they're like, oh yeah, now I see it as a moose. You did it. Thank you. Anyway, this is what my brain thinks of. So here is Carter's moment. Like
Where he has
there's
a
lots
mild
of
panic
chaos
attack for about
happening.
5 seconds.
Yeah. There's chaos happening. People are gonna get hurt. And Bast is like, we have to go. We have to get the fuck out of here. Like, I'm protecting you. And Carter's like, what is this feeling inside of me? Is it Horace? Is it my parents? No, I want to do this. I want to help save the people. Carter, you've done it. You've become a vigilante. You're gonna become a superhero next.
That
Your
like
Batman
that whole
mask
paragraph
is being delivered in the mail as we speak.
Yeah, it's very good. It's a very good paragraph.
Very comic book energy.
He tells Bast like, yeah. He tells Bast to take Sadie and he's gonna deal with this. And then he immediately opens up his locker, his hammer space, and he takes the sword out of it. He brings it all the way from Luxor to him.
What I love
Which is
about
actually
this,
really lovely.
Bast did not tell him he could do that. She just told him you could put stuff in there and take it back out. But he's like, I know that my sword is in there because I lost it, so I'm just gonna pull that out of the duat, and it's fine, out of Ma'at, and he just succeeds at that.
Actually,
that means that it's real hammer space.
I want to correct you. In the last sentence of that chapter beforehand, where Carter asks Bast if she's sure he can get the stuff back, she's like, no, I'm not sure. So there's like oh gosh, this whole thing might not work. And then meanwhile, he's like grabbing swords from like completely other different areas to fight.
I mean, maybe she's also not sure how powerful he is and if those items will get somehow lost in this weird alternate space. But yeah, last chapter we talked about hammer space. This is when he actually takes something out of hammer space. He does the cartoon thing. He did it.
It's
Go
great.
Carter.
Woo! Thing done.
Yeah, so he's gonna run interference, and what does he do? He does some Percy Jackson moves here, like, hey Moose, you look ugly. You've got no name. Must be because they couldn't think of a name ugly enough for you. Haha. What's up with this energy? I thought only Percy had this energy of like.
I feel like all of Rick's characters have this energy though. Of like,
yeah, they do.
Fuck it,
they
we
do.
ball.
Again, this is a charisma stat, but it's not the usual charisma stat. It's what
I do
what
love
have we called this previously, Ray?
I don't
What have
remember.
we called this previously?
We did talk about his being a little shit. I don't. I don't remember what word we used.
Stat.
We had a very good word for that stat. We'll have to think about it again.
Audacity.
I do love that Carter continues to do this, even though both Bast and Horace in his brain are like, "You're super gonna die."
Yeah, at least Horace is like positive about it. He's like, "We'll die with honor."
He's like, "Great, I love this." Of course he is.
And then the famous, I'll call you Leroy. So, but Leroy does not like this name. So they're fighting. It's not too fun.
So it's
We're
really
slashing.
lucky
We're
that
smacking.
Carter made a fake arm guard for Sadie to perch on, because otherwise he would have lost his arm.
Yeah.
True. He definitely would have. So it bites his am I assuming he's a righty? But his off arm, his non-dominant arm, at least, so he can still fight. But ow,
Yeah.
Yeah.
not
Still
fun.
terrible.
That's not going to be good. This boy has already had his ribs broken. Like yesterday, he's had so many things.
Really not
He's a
ideal,
break.
yeah.
So he kicks it into the wall, and Horse is like, I know what you're gonna do. You gotta dispatch it to the netherworlds. Horse is like, okay, I know. I'm doing all the work here. You're not helping at all. Come on.
I love that. I love that very much. Some little girl, after he makes a giant falcon-headed avatar, as you do, very, very cool. Some little girl yells, "Chicken Man, get the moose!" And he's like, "Oh, that makes me feel great."
He's like,
I do love it. One of Rick's like great playing cards here is giving. I mentioned at the start of the episode, I started rereading Mangus Chase. One of his great playing cards is giving one of his main characters just like the stupidest nickname ever, and just going, Percy. It's the fact that Dionysus can't actually say his name normally, and then Seaweed Brain as well. And Carter has gotten Chicken Man, and I won't reveal Mangus's one, but he gets one as well. And it's like, here we go, inappropriate nickname.
The important one to note is that the fandom calls him Mango Cheese.
Good. That's a good name.
Just because. Yeah, so he's a chicken man. This is his new superhero secret identity. He doesn't get to be Batman. He's Chicken Man now.
Makes sense. He actually doesn't like bats.
Yeah, we don't like fruit bats here. We're anti-fruit bats. Okay, so we're fighting. It feels like he's moving through Jello, because he's like in the weird hawk-headed avatar thing.
Right. It's big. It takes more effort and time to move everything.
Leroy's on his chest. Yeah, Leroy's like very heavy on top of him. He's like, "What? I gotta figure out what to do. I'm losing strength."
Everything.
And then he has the most D&D-ass idea.
It is so much the most D&D idea ever. I love it. It's just like, what are the limits of this? I don't know.
There's definitely a spell that's basically this, but it only lasts for like so long. I feel like there's like, because you can send people to like different planes and shit in D&D with a spell.
To me, this feels so much like your players abusing a bag of holding. Honestly.
Yes, actually, 100%.
That is the energy that it has.
The real question is, Ray, when we figure out how to make this into an RPG, are we building this into it, or are we not? Are we making it so that it's possible but not a rule, That's
tough. I feel like you've got to make this a very high level spell. It's got to be like gated, because Carter should not be able to do this.
Fair. You have to be hosting a god to be able to do this shit.
Yeah.
Like Carter is. It's very nice that people ask if Carter's okay after he like does this shit.
Yeah.
I don't know what. I don't think so.
I don't know what the average person thought Carter was doing that whole time, but they are like, "Dang, kid."
Well, and I love how Carter's immediate thought is, "I'm gonna get in trouble for moose fighting."
Yeah.
So what exactly does he do? He pushes Leroy into the ceiling, and Leroy's just like, "Wait, what? Wait, how are you?" And he's gone. He's disappeared into hyperspace.
It's so good.
It's great. I love it.
He also just throws his sword up there, just
defeat. Yeah, because he's like, I don't want to take this on the plane.
Surely if he got through security, that's fine. Come on, everyone.
The real question is, does the sword stab Leroy once it gets?
That is what I was wondering too. I assume no, but
it's unclear. All right, so the Chicken Man incident hasn't fully hit everywhere, so like there's still been a commotion, and he gets to the gate, and they're like, "What happened over there? Do you know?" He's like, it's just a moose. Got through security.
It's under control.
Fine.
Let me
And then
quickly
he just
scan my
runs
boarding
off.
pass and get in before you think about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, this is what happened. Bye. And Bass is doing like the little motherly thing, like, are you okay? What happened? And she is like, you did what, sir? That's a lot of strength.
I don't understand this. Bast knows, like, Carter and Sadie's parents, theoretically understands how important they are,
Mhm.
and knows that they've got gods, housed in them. And then all of a sudden, it's just like, how the hell did you do that? It's like, well, no. They are almost all-powerful beings. Like, of course they're going to be able to do that.
I guess it's just that, like, even though theoretically you know that, like, the things that they can do and the speed at which they learn how to do them are, like, unprecedented. And so, like, even though theoretically you're like, these are probably the most powerful hosts, in modern history, like, you don't think that they're just gonna be able to do that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild.
Wild.
But they're ripped to them, but they're different, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. So Bass kind of tries to heal Carter's wound, but he needs to, sleep for now. He needs to sleep it off.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where the chapter ends.
Not this time.
And this is where we have there's a cute little page break.
Yeah, at the top of the page for me, I was like, oh, that's
yeah, it's me too. It's weird. So he's going on a bar trip. We love a bar trip.
We do.
We're in Phoenix.
Phoenix, the place where all bar trips happen.
I mean, that's where our evil dude is. So of
And
course
it's poetic.
we're gonna go to the
Lots of birds.
It's true. We gotta go to the plot relevant bar places, not just wherever the fuck. So what do we think of this interesting little mountain secret lair that he's built here? This is fucking cool, bruh.
He's making his own Vegas in Phoenix. They got luxury homes.
Yeah. All I can think of is like the Hollywood Hills, and somehow like there's like a secret area in the Hollywood Hills where all the rich people go.
I was gonna say my brain is just like, this feels like some Zelda ass shit, like Breath of the Wild. Like, oh, you're doing your little flying, and like, oh, there's a little hole there. What's in here? It's like, oh, that's a whole ass thing. What have I entered into, guys? Where am I? This is not on the map. So this pyramid is halfway done, even though pyramids usually take like 20 years to make.
According to Carter's dad.
Cheating.
They got demons, it's fine.
I mean, who knows what like modern tools and magic like can do for pyramid building?
I am hesitant to say that we could build a pyramid better than the ancient Egyptians. They had it down pat. But I will say that when you got a bunch of demons...
Oh, I'm not saying that we could do it better. I'm just saying, like, yeah.
I reckon we could do it faster and cheaper, lower quality, wouldn't last as long.
Yeah.
They just don't make them pyramids like they used to.
You know what? Maybe that's the trick. Maybe that's what's happening here. He's making it faster and cheaper, and also there's magic involved. So 20 years.
Yeah, we'll just blow that thing down. It'll be fine.
A couple days.
We'll get your dad out of there. Don't worry about it.
It's made of feathers.
Yeah, clearly. So, Set looks so much different than, like, so vastly different to how he looked before. Him and his little demon guy are on a boat, a floating boat, and he's still a red dude, but before he was, like, fiery. He's not on fire anymore. He's not
now
slimy.
he looks like an actual guy
big,
instead of just like a silhouette.
hulking red man.
Yeah. I love how the first half of the descriptions, like, I was like reading, I was like, ooh, hot. And then they describe the goatee, I'm like, nah, fuck that.
Well, they gotta have the goatee, like, we're in Egypt. They're gonna have, like, the fancy, like, pharaoh goatees, right? No, those are actually fake, but still.
Yeah.
But still. We're gonna have a little bit of chin hairs.
Oh, right. He's also wearing,
and then we have our demon.
He's wearing fatigues. He's got red camo. Very, very funny. You see the pink camo, you don't think of red. Carter's like, where's he going to be hiding out inside a volcano?
No.
Hmm?
Yes, he would. But also, the red camo is what I feel like Clarice would be into.
Yeah.
Like, that's an Aries kid type of thing, Like, Aries
I
is
feel
into
like-
this.
Yeah, but I also feel like the Aries campers are like too practical. Like they would go, no, that's not going to actually camouflage me. Get me some real proper camouflage.
Okay.
Yes, but let's remember, they're not the smart military guys. They're just the strong military guys. So they're allowed to be a little bit dumb. It's the Athena kids who can actually like disappear while wearing army fatigues.
All right, I have two explanations for red camo. Number one is that we're talking about the desert. The reason that red is the bad color is because it's the color of the desert. So, like, presumably it would be pretty decent for hiding out in the sand, actually. Number two, that's what he wears when he's going to be covered in blood and viscera. It blends right in.
Yeah.
It's like Deadpool. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I wear this red suit so bad guys can't see me bleed. That guy understands. He wore the brown pants.
I love it. When that joke happened, I was like, oh gosh, iconic behavior. But my problem is that when I think of red, I think of like a bright red, like fire truck red, right?
Mm.
And I'm like, that is standing out in like the sands of the Sahara. I think if you had like a darker, more volcanic red, it could be like a very volcanic soil, like that red dirt, clay, like soil thing. But I'm like, I don't know. I don't think it would like, yeah. I know that they've used the word red to describe the desert. I didn't realize. I thought it was more yellow. So
right. It probably depends, and it's probably like a lighting thing. I really don't know. But
let's see. Can I find images of like red sand? Is that a thing? Red.
I mean, it definitely
sands.
is, but I don't know how common it is.
Well, there's that's a desert that is actually red. Where the fuck is that? That's in Saudi Arabia.
Well,
There you go.
oh, sorry, I googled red desert and I found a film that is called that. So,
Oh, there's also in Wyoming. There is a desert called the Red Desert. Apparently, fun. Yeah, I mean, I think it does depend on like which environment you're looking at. So, like, depending on like what minerals or what have you are in the ground,
right?
How
Because
it's going to appear.
Some deserts are like a cream kind of white, and some are that very like orangey color, which I think could definitely be, seen as red.
I would argue the red is closer to an Australian desert sand. There's a lot more iron oxide in Australian soil than there would be in like a a Saharan African desert. Haven't seen enough photos of American deserts or Eastern European deserts to kind of make a decision on those. But
we definitely do have areas that would be like I haven't spent a lot of time in deserts, but I have been to Garden of the Gods, which is in Percy Jackson. But there's like red rocks around that area. The Pueblo is very orangish, like the clay and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's also like how these people interpreted it however many thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
And like also
like,
definitions
yeah,
of colors
red.
change. Like
Exactly.
in I know that like a famous one is in some of Homer's works. They talk about a wine dark sea, and people are like, what does that mean exactly? Red ocean, or like did that mean something else? And
Yeah. So there's Red Man. He's right there. And then next to him, we have Roosterfoot Demon. Hello, it's that guy.
And we get
Remember
a name
that guy?
for
He didn't
him,
get
which is
killed
just
earlier.
great.
Yeah. What's his name? Bob? No. Sam? No. How about Face of Horror?
Love it.
Sam, do you want to be renamed Face of Horror now? I think.
To be honest, wouldn't really appreciate it, to be honest. I already have enough variations on my own name that I have to keep track of. So I work in a radio station, and my diction is not the greatest. I actually have a bit of a tongue tie, so saying things like Samuel can be really hard. My own name is hard for me to pronounce sometimes. And when you are answering the phone calls of listeners who are calling into your radio station and you're like, hello, ABC, Samuel speaking, there are definitely some people who mishear you and go, oh, hi, Daniel, you've got the same name as my grandson or whatever.
Oh, no.
And it is mortifying. And then we have, there's two Sams in the office. There's me and one of my colleagues, and his legal name is Sam. So I then have to be called Samuel, but then some people still call me Sam. So then I'm like having to listen out to both. And it's just, there's like too much going on. I can't be renamed Face of Horror. I just don't think it's in the cards for me at the moment.
But then you have a very unique name. Like, you know?
I also just too many syllables.
Yeah.
Like, that's
yeah,
not a
I was
name.
about to say that.
That's not a good name.
The real question is, what's the last name? Like,
It kind of rolls off the tongue, though. You know, hello, this is ABC, Face of Horror speaking. Thank you for calling. You know, it's not too bad.
Yeah. No, there's definitely some names that are just like too much. One of my colleagues, her name really works after saying like ABC and goes right into it. And I'm like, oh gosh, I'm almost jealous of you.
Yeah.
well, that's Face of Horror. He's here. He's maybe queer. I don't know, but mostly he's just
He
like
has no
a
skin on his
sniveling
face.
little guy. He has none. That's why he has a face of horror. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, they're very, very fun. He's just a demon. And so they're talking about this pyramid. Like, when is it going to be finished? It needs to be finished by his birthday, by Set's birthday. His birthday's coming up. Are we all gonna say happy birthday to Set?
No, I'm sorry.
Happy birthday to Set.
It's the demon. It's like the 12 days of Christmas, but actually it's the 5 days of demons. You know, just, yeah, that's the next holiday that leads up to New Year's. It's perfect. We can just celebrate all of December.
Demon Day, my true love gave to me. And then I guess it just ends on 5 gold rings. So, I mean, end on a high note, honestly.
Set is being a shitty manager.
I love this. Yeah, he's terrible. It's such a evil lair like conversation to have. The deadline is at sunset. No, it's got to be sunrise.
I know
How
you
dare
just
you
said
hand in the report to me at 5 p.m. instead of 9 a.m.
I know you just said the fastest you could do it was on sunset, but you're going to do it on sunrise anyways because I don't care. Like,
Yep.
Elon Musk behavior.
Yeah, so Set's plan here is to basically destroy all life on the planet, or not the planet, the continent.
Yeah.
And this is the final and eternal tomb of Osiris. Woo.
Scary.
I mean, he is the god of the dead, so like he should have a tomb to his own power. But why is this being used for Set's power? It's not nice, dude.
Yeah, it does
Rude.
feel like weirdly backwards that he says he's going to be powered by a tomb for someone else. Like, being entombed is a huge honor. Like, a pyramid for an Egyptian pharaoh is, you know, it's their whole shit. It's about them. That's why they spend so much money on him and make him so big. And so it feels kind of weird and backwards. But, you know, thinking about it as an encasement, a trap, you know, it's interesting.
Yeah, because like that was his whole thing with why he put Osiris in the sarcophagus in the first place. It's like, this is a trap for you. And then he has to build a pyramid because that's a symbol of power, right? We've been talking about like how the Washington Monument was like a symbol of power and like all of these things. It's the shape.
Yeah, but it's also still kind of weird and opposite because the pyramid is a symbol of Ma'at. You know, that's it creates order, that shape. And so the fact that he's using it to power chaos also feels weird. So I'm wondering if there's going to be more elaboration on that, or if, you know, he's just doing shit.
Yeah.
I feel like the problem is there isn't exactly a symbolism for the opposite, a symbol for chaos.
I mean,
an upside
in the
down
same
pyramid?
way. I mean, that I feel like that would be the option, is to do an upside down pyramid. Honestly, you're onto it, Sam. You did it.
I solved all the issues. Come on, everyone.
Yeah, I mean, because it's supposed to be like going up into the heavens or something.
Yeah.
But remember, we're doing evil shit. We got to be going down into the sand, into the dirt.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or like, I don't know, dig a pyramid-shaped hole instead of building a pyramid-shaped tower.
Yeah.
The absence of it.
A complete inversion.
We're getting it. Yeah.
And
There you go.
so
That's
Carter's
what we
like, oh my gosh, that pyramid has my dad's vibes. This seems so bad.
Yeah.
I
Because
suppose
he
we
thought
got
about it.
I think we've got to remember that Osiris is in his dad, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's not just, one of the most important gods that are going to be trapped in there and presumably powering Set in some sort of way. It's also Carter's dad.
Yeah.
Not ideal for
It's
anyone,
also Horace's
but
dad,
especially him.
actually. It's Carter's and Horace's dad together as one.
Double dad.
Daddy
in
energy.
this tomb. Double dad. Nope.
So then Face of Horror is like, so I know that we're gonna like trap Osiris and stuff, but why not more? And Set's like, you've appealed to my curious nature.
Well, first he's like, choose your words carefully or I will murder you where you stand. And then he appeals to like, why don't you try more gods? And then you can rule over everything instead of just, this continent. This continent is very small comparatively to like all worlds. Rule everything. And his Face of Horror mentions Set's, wife, who we don't talk about. We don't talk about her.
We don't talk about Bruno.
Can't speak her name, but if we get the others, the other of the 5 gods, we can increase Set's power.
Typical villain shit. They're like, why not more?
I want more.
And then we get this other thing.
Yeah.
This other specific plan he has in mind. Who does he use as a tool?
It's time to put Amos Kane to use. Don't know what that means. Where's Uncle Amos? What happened to you, sir?
Family reunion time.
We know that he was captured by Set. We don't know what has been done to him. We just know that Set's gonna use him for his own purposes somehow.
I'd like to imagine he's doing some sort of Rocky montage-esque, training sequence, but for evil.
Amazing. I love a montage. We need more montages.
We need more montages. Like, give me more montages, please.
Yeah. So, and then the chapter ends with Set looking straight at Carter, like, isn't that right, boy? And he's about to grab him.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Just get him in his little grippers. And Carter's like, I cannot move. Really unfortunate how that happens.
Did Carter wake up? Did Carter get grabbed?
Also, I checked next chapter. They're gonna leave us on that cliffhanger. It's a whole little joke that he's doing. Very funny, Rick. Love this.
Yeah.
It's a Sadie chapter next. We're not gonna find out what happened.
No, not at all. What I do love is that the way it's written, like that it's transcripts of audio recordings. It's just so much fun to develop their characters outside of the context of the plot. And you can just get that little bit of back and forth without it interfering with pacing, which I think is really great.
I honestly wish he would have done a little bit more with it, but I do like it as a framing device. It's fun. Yeah.
It just means that I don't know what the audiobooks are like for this, but they better have some fucking good audiobooks. If that's the preferred medium of the story.
I've mentioned this before, but they do have 2 different actors for each of the characters so that they can switch off for the different chapters, which is good.
Amazing. That's so good.
All right.
As they should.
That's it.
There's no other way to do that.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, Ray, in terms of you'd love to see more, but I've definitely seen it overused in the past. So having these little bits and maybe making it bigger in future books, I think is a great option.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my friends, that's a chapter.
That's it.
Sam, where can people find you on the internet? All that you do.
Well, you can find me at content, the letter N, capable on Instagram. You can find me personally as well, sam.the abby.journalist on Instagram and on TikTok. I'm there. I'm not doing a huge amount online, to be honest. I'm just lurking. Feel free to follow me. Sometimes I post the stories I'm writing. I did this great story about Christmas trees and how like live Christmas trees are on the rise in Australia because we were just a plastic Christmas tree like country, I think. And I learned about potted Christmas trees. I didn't realize that people had potted Christmas trees that they brought in and out of their house for the Christmas season.
That's
They
cute.
last like 20 years. It was so cool.
Interesting.
But yeah,
I love that.
Find me there. You can also find me on ABC Southeast South Australia. If you search that into, you think of the Australian ABC, it's like the BBC. There, I'm usually on the breakfast program a couple of times in the morning, and I also contribute some articles from time to time. Although I won't be for another few weeks because when this episode comes out, I'll be away on holidays.
Good for you.
Oh boy.
So good. I'm so looking forward to it. It's been a year.
You deserve
it certainly has.
Yeah.
Can't wait for the next a year.
It's gonna be look, to be honest, I'm thinking it's only gonna be positive.
I'm glad you're being positive. I don't know about
I have no
that.
control over it, so all I can be is in delusion.
This is true. I'll be delusional forever.
Well,
My goal in life.
do you have a media plug that you want to share with us? Any ideas? Things you've been enjoying?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm gonna find something that's not super depressing, to be honest. On Amazon Prime, they've done a reboot of Cruel Intentions as like a TV series set in college. I feel like it's Amazon's answer to like the Sex Lives of College Girls, except way more like Euphoria-esque. So it's kind of like halfway between the two, I think. And it's been surprisingly good to watch. I've been really enjoying that. It's an interesting retelling. It's definitely way more adult, but like, I don't know, Cruel Intentions is an adult plot anyway. So definitely go check it out if you're keen on that. Otherwise, there's some great, really terrible Netflix Christmas movies that you can always go and watch too.
Oh, I'm sure Abby's gonna make me watch the terrible ones.
Apparently the Lindsay Lohan one people think is really great, so I need to watch it at some point.
Nice.
I think like the Princess Switch movies are on her list to make me watch. So
look, those don't look too bad either.
Those are insane.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
you would not believe
what my brain
how
thinks.
many
They
princesses
are in
they
fact
can
insane.
switch.
Yeah. Listen. If I've learned anything from Xena did it first. Let's see, what's my plug? You know what? I made Abby watch Klaus recently, and it's that time of year.
That's a good one.
For the Christmas movies. Klaus is my favorite. It's just very sweet and wholesome, and it makes me happy. Also, it makes me cry, like so many things nowadays.
Yeah.
Nice. I've been watching a lot of videos from comics and like superhero creators on YouTube. And one of my favorites is Troyo Boyo 17. He does a lot of like opinion pieces and also like his own like pitches for how certain like film adaptations and stuff could go. And I've really enjoyed a lot of his videos. He's really into Green Arrow, who is not a guy who I knew a lot about, so I had fun watching some of his stuff about him. Yeah, he just seems like a really solid guy, and he's made some very entertaining stuff on YouTube.
Good shit. Yeah, I'm getting back into YouTube too recently. Okay, how do we end things? Maybe we can just stay here. We can just keep
We could.
No, Charlie,
Forever.
please, you have to release us from this mortal coil.
I love how this is the dynamic for the past few chapters, that I'm just like, we can just keep recording
God.
for the infinite future. And you're like, no, I have a job to get to soon.
Oh gosh. Imagine working. Sorry.
All right, Charlie, get us out of here. Come on now.
Fine. Get the fuck out of my house. I'm gonna grab you in your dreams. Like I'm reaching for you.
I don't know why, but like when it said that, I imagined that he was like going for the face, like he's gonna like just get him.
No, he's going through the throat, obviously.
I was thinking crocodile snaps.
He's just gonna Eat that boy up.
Yum, yum, yum.
In one fell swoop.
The
Okay,
podcast
bye.
is over. Goodbye.
Of the Eldest Gods would like to thank its $10 and up patrons. This means you're either in the Savior of Olympus tier or the God Complex tier on our Patreon, patreon.com/oftheeldestgods. Thank you all so much for your support, especially Matt, our God Complex patron.
You can follow this podcast socials at Of the Eldest Gods Pod on Instagram and Tumblr. You can send us a message through the Duat to oftheeldestgodspod@gmail.com. If you'd like to support us financially, join us at patreon.com/oftheeldestgods. By becoming a patron, you can join the Deus Ex Media Discord server, where you'll be able to chat with us and other listeners about the Riordanverse or whatever else. Our $5 patron tier also gets you access to Against All Odds, our monthly bonus show. There, we'll talk about a wide variety of topics, which usually have something to do with mythology, no promises. You can check out our merch store on Redbubble to find custom designs made by Charlie. Or if you cannot or do not want to support us financially, we'd really appreciate a rating, a review, or letting your friends and followers know how much you love the podcast. That really helps. If you want to hear more from me, Ray, check out Barbie Movie Slap, a podcast where my co-host Ted and I discuss Barbie's cinematic universe. That podcast's Twitter is at Barbie Slaps.
You can follow me, Charlie, at GreenPixie12 on most platforms. I also have an art Instagram at GreenPixieDraws. You can also hear my voice on 2 other podcasts. I co-host another podcast on the network with the meme maker Robert called The Bits, where we talk about the Cartoon Network show Steven Universe. I also co-host a non-network podcast with my buddy Ethan called Mysteries in the Machine, where we talk about all things Scooby-Doo. Our music was created and produced by Isabel Strauss-Riggs. You can find Isabel at KaneI, that's I is in the body part, on Instagram and Twitter. She also currently makes video essays on the YouTube channel KaneI. Feel free to message her about making music for your project or editing your podcast.
Of the Eldest Gods is based on the series by Rick Riordan. Right now we are discussing the Kane Chronicles. Remember to follow us on your favorite podcatcher and meet us back here every Thursday.
Have you ever wondered what is going on in someone's head? No, this isn't an opportunity to learn how to read minds. It's an opportunity to listen to interesting conversations on Content and Capable. Join me every Monday as I discuss a wide range of topics with my guests and go on a journey, figuring out how to feel content pursuing our passions and capable in the complex world around us. Find Content and Capable wherever you get podcasts, and I can't wait to meet you along the journey. Imagine working. Sorry. I have a week and a day of work, and then I go on 4 weeks leave, and I have never been more excited in my life to take a month off.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Work is like, you're not doing any work anyway, so go. I'm like, okay, I'll take unpaid leave if you insist.
Yeah.
Nice.
Imagine working, Sam. Imagine it.
Imagine it.
I haven't done that in a bit.
Ugh.
Deus Ex Media.